7 games into this NBA regular season, and it seems like the Miami Heat are going through a challenge that'll be more difficult than anything else the entirety of the regular season. I'm here to break down all the bits and pieces on this episode of Heat Digest, so let's get to it and break down why it's not time to panic yet for this Miami Heat team. And the reason I say this is because if you've been following as of late, the Miami Heat obviously have their problems and they have their flaws. Two of them that stand out amongst all the rest, the first one being rebounding. We have a very, very hard time rebounding the basketball. Going through these first 7 games, we've lost a majority of the battle on the boards. It doesn't matter who we play, if it's an Eastern Conference team, a Western Conference team, we struggle to rebound. And the second thing that stands out amongst the rest is our inability to do absolutely anything, offensively, defensively, in the second half of basketball coming out of halftime, whether we have ceremonies at half, whether or not it's a 15, a 5, a 10-minute break at halftime. It seems like this Miami Heat team is flat out incapable of participating and competing at a high level against any team in the NBA, especially in the third quarter, if not the overall second half in general. So again, we're going to break down a few bits and pieces on this episode of Heat Digest. The first one being how the last 3 games have gone for this Miami Heat team. Now, 3 games ago now, against the Washington Wizards in Washington, we saw Bam Adebayo perform at his highest level all season up to this point. Again, through that at that point, 5 games. We went 3-2 up to this point, winning that game by 20 points, 118-98. Bam Adebayo had a 32, 14 rebound, 2 assists, a steal, and a block performance against this Washington Wizards team. Like I said earlier, by far and away the best performance up to this point of this regular season. But then he came back after that game in Washington, a massive win for the Miami Heat. Yes, it is the Washington Wizards, and their team on paper or on the basketball floor on the hardwood aren't great regardless, but again, we struggled with this team last year, and we paid the price for it at the end of the year, dropping games we shouldn't have to a team in the Washington Wizards, and we came home again against the Sacramento Kings, which is a drastically different story compared to Washington, as Sacramento on paper and on the hardwood are very, very, very good. DeMar DeRozan, being the newest addition in Sacramento, is fitting in just fine with De'Aaron Fox, Malik Monk coming off the bench, Keegan Murray, Sabonis, who is probably one of the most underrated players in the entirety of the NBA. His ability to rebound the basketball before he puts his shoes on and ties them. He has 15 rebounds, and then his ability to facilitate the basketball at such a high level without wanting the score. He goes amongst possession after possession, being a factor because he's either grabbing a defensive rebound or an offensive rebound. And then when he brings it up the floor, yes, he will bring the ball up the floor like a guard, facilitate the offense. And if he doesn't bring it up the floor, he'll give it up to a guard or a ball handler, run down the floor, find his spot, then get the ball back, and the game instantly restarts. He's either instantly a threat to put the ball on the floor once, maybe twice, make a quick move and get to the basket, or just looking to cause enough attention to then draw in defenders and then kick the ball out once again for open 3-point shots to those players we named earlier, and DeRozan, Fox, Monk, Murray, whoever it may be. And overall, he's a damn good basketball player, and he stole our hearts and stole a win from this Miami Heat team on November 4th, just 2 days ago, or now 3 days ago, 111-110. We lose by 1 in our last home game before a monster road stretch. And again, it was off an offensive rebound with a shot with less than 5 seconds remaining in the game. Sabonis was able to offensive rebound, turn, shoot, all in one fluid motion. It was ugly looking, but again, it worked out, and Sabonis is Sabonis. The Miami Heat are failed to do anything in the third quarter, and really overall in the second half to pull away in that game. It was back and forth. It was very competitive. It was a fun game to watch. But again, that third quarter was abysmal. The fourth quarter wasn't much any better. And again, last night in Phoenix, our first game of a 6-game road stand that will look like this following tonight from the 8th going on. We have to win these games. Another 1-possession loss for this Miami Heat team that makes the following 2 games we played losses, coming to by a collective of 4 total points. A 3-point loss last night, and then 3 nights ago, a 1-point loss to the Sacramento Kings. These teams are very, very good. The Miami Heat are just failing to pull away late, whether it be in the third quarter, in the entirety of the second half, or specifically just having a lead going into half, coming out of halftime, failing to compete at that high of a level that we played at in the first half, then battling back in the second half, or in that fourth quarter, to try to make it competitive once again due to our inabilities in that third quarter. So again, there's a lot of big question marks for this Miami Heat team. And if we look at this tweet from Brady Hawk, again, shout out to you on Twitter. If you don't follow him, go follow him. He's the best source of information for this Miami Heat team year in and year out when it comes to the nitty-gritty stats. He goes on to say, ready for this stat. Miami Heat in the first halves this season ranked number 5 in offensive rating. That's huge. And number 8th in defensive rating. Again, that is a championship level team if you can rank in the top 10 of both offensive and defensive ratings in a half of basketball. You would hope for that to translate to a full half of basketball, but this is where the curveball comes. Miami Heat in the second halves this season, I should say, 30th in offensive rating and 22nd in defensive rating. This cannot happen. You go from a championship contending team in the first half of basketball to if you're lucky, a play-in team, a play-in tournament team in the second half. This flat out can't happen, and it's night and day of a difference. Again, a championship contending team in the first half and barely a play-in team in the second half. That can't happen. We need a bit more consistency, and I will say for last night, we got a bit closer to it, and this is why I say it's not time yet to panic for this Miami Heat team. And if you're a supporter or a fan of this team, don't panic yet, and here is why. Last night, we played that Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Nurkic team in the Phoenix Suns. That obviously on paper and on the court, they are very, very good basketball players, whether it's individually or in a team setting. It's an elite level of talent. There's no way around it. But if we look at how Miami played, despite how Miami played, they were in a very competitive game for the majority of that game, as well as they almost won that game. There's no way around it. If a few possessions, a few bounces of the ball go differently, this game was drastically different. Now, Bam Adebayo is going to be one of the key pieces we highlight. Obviously, he shot 5 of 21 from the field. In 21 shot attempts, he only got to the free throw line one time where he made both of his free throws. He ends with 12 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists, and 5 steals. Bam Adebayo had a phenomenal game. He just had an inability to make any baskets on the offensive end. If you looked at the collective game he did play, though, overall, it was an elite level game, and I'm willing to bet money Bam Adebayo does not have a worse shooting night than he did last night against the Phoenix Suns. Again, 5 of 21 is not great. At one point in this game, he was 1 of 10 shooting from the field. He was consistently looking to shoot the basketball. He was aggressive, which is something we love to see, but again, it was not the efficiency that we were really looking for. Besides Adebayo, there's a few other players I want to acknowledge, 2 of them being rookies and the other being Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero was phenomenal and has been the best player on this Miami Heat roster all season long. Last night, he shot 9 of 15 from the field, including 5 of 9 from behind the three-point line exclusively, making all 5 of his free throws, shooting or providing 28 points, 6 assists, and 3 rebounds for this Miami Heat team. Overall, a phenomenal performance like he's been doing all season long. And again, I have to apologize. I called for Tyler Hero to be traded during this past offseason. I didn't want Butler to be the one traded. Tyler Hero has come out this season. He has said that he's willing to do whatever is called upon. I'll play off ball. I'll come off the bench. Whatever is called upon. We left him in the starting lineup. He's playing a bit more off the ball, and it's working beautifully. Obviously, these are his year-by-year stats. We're looking at the bottom one that is highlighted in yellow. He's averaging 22.7 points per game, 4.5 assists, and just under 5 rebounds per game. And mind you, he has almost had career highs in every shooting statistical category available. He's shooting 50% from the field. He's shooting 45.9% from behind the three-point line. Obviously, the free throw numbers are a bit dipped for the entirety of the Miami Heat team, which is very, very weird and upsetting to see. But I think, again, just give it a little bit of time and things will really shape up. But again, Tyler Hero has been the best player for this Miami Heat roster, or on this Miami Heat roster up to this point, and there's no real argument for it. Butler was pretty good last night. I'm not going to say he was great. I'm not going to say he was awful. The last possession, the last shot we had at winning and tying this game last night came from Jimmy Butler. Obviously, it's not strictly his fault. This trap by the Phoenix Suns, leading Rozier to make a pass that pulled him inside the three-point line in that situation with that much time left, cannot solely go on Butler. Just the fact that he did get it, hesitated, then backed up, and when he did to go shoot the ball, it was probably the first shot all night where he didn't look confident in going up with the jump shot. The rest throughout that game, he added, what do you have? 6 of 13 shooting in 37 minutes. He had 15.7 rebounds and 3 assists and a steal. And there's a lot of the shots he took last night from mid-range or just outside the block with his back to the basket, where he's able to either turn and face up or go falling away from the basket, where he was extremely confident. Everything that he was doing, the moves he was making were done in confidence, and you could tell he was very just capable, and he just seemed on a different level when he wanted to shoot the jump shot. When he wanted to get to his spot and take that shot, it looked good every single time coming out of his hands. And last night, that last shot that he did take, that I'm going to show you in just a second, was the complete and polar opposite of what I just explained. Unfortunately, because I believe he goes back there and he just steps up and pulls up and shoots that ball and doesn't worry about the guy coming over his right shoulder trying to blindside him for a block. And also, I believe Booker coming from the corner, leaving Tyler Hero. I think that is nothing but net, because of what he did can never work. Dropping the ball to Tyler Hero with no time left on the clock is never going to be a good solution. To quickly highlight the game lines last night, obviously we go into halftime with a 3-point lead. And then from that point forward, we tied in the third quarter, a massive win for the Miami Heat, because we didn't get beat up in the third quarter. Yes, we had a lead in the third quarter. We ended up being very stagnant, and because of that, ended up tied going into the fourth, or we were down going into the fourth. The point is, it was a competitive third quarter compared to us being outscored by 15, 20, 25, 30 points alone in the third quarter. This is a win for the Miami Heat. And besides that, if we look at the rebounding battle, overall, we lost the rebounding battle by 3 total rebounds, 43 to 46. That is a hell of a lot more manageable than in the 6 games prior. There's no way around it. If you go back and look, Boston beat the breaks out of us off the boards, and so did Charlotte, or not Boston, excuse me. Orlando and Charlotte both beat the breaks off of us on the boards. Orlando, especially in game 1, that was absolutely horrible. And again, it wasn't something that was like, oh, it happened once. No, it happened for the last 6 games. Last night, again, game 7, things looked a bit different. Offensive rebounding, we won that battle. It feels like for the first time all season long, 13-10 over the Phoenix Suns. And then defensively, we lost 30 to 36. That's the 3 difference in between Miami and Phoenix. But again, overall, a win last night, in the sense that Bam's never going to have that bad of a shooting night. Jimmy Butler's probably not going to make that airheaded of a decision. And then again, Tyler Hero being Tyler Hero. And to go along with that, Kel'el Ware and Pelle Larsson might be the 2 best rookies out of the entire class. Kel'el Ware finally got some good minutes last night. He started the fourth quarter for this Miami Heat team and did a bunch of very good things. He made his first career 3-point shot. Pelle Larsson plays hard and plays fast, offensively, defensively, to rebound, to set screens, to take to set blocks, or to take charges, I should say. It doesn't matter what he's doing, to go get water, to get on the floor, to get off the floor, to switch his shoes, to tie his shoes. He plays hard, he plays fast, and he plays aggressive, and because of that, I think he's going to be elite. Last night wasn't his greatest statistical production. Shot 2 of 5 from the field, missed all 3 of his 3-point attempts, 8 points, 3 assists, not great, only had 1 turnover, which is good as a rookie. But again, if you look at that game against Sacramento, huge production just in that first half and extremely efficient. If you continue to give this kid the chances, he's going to make good with it. And then for Kel'el Ware, we were calling for him to get some actual playing time for this Miami Heat team to be a legitimate source of whether offensive production or defensive production. Last night he did both. In only 14 minutes, he shot 3 of 6 from the field, making his first career NBA 3-point shot. And then he provided 7 points and 3 rebounds with 2 steals. And again, he altered a bunch of shots with 1 total block. Overall, a very, very great game from the Miami. Not a great game, a good game for this Miami Heat team. I won't argue that, but again, it seems like despite going into such a difficult part of this schedule, again, we just played Sacramento, we just played Phoenix, and now we continue on the road against these powerhouse teams, obviously outside Detroit. But again, we have a chance to really, really, just overall, just find our groove, find our rhythm, and really get things going for this Miami Heat team. I'm going to quickly show you the Ware highlights.
The 3-run for the Suns. Ware, wide open 3. Kaboom!
That was Ware's first three-point shot. Obviously, there was no one around him, but again, to be able to gather himself, find the laces on that basketball, and knock it down, very good to see. And then here's his defensive highlight. It's one of many, obviously. His length gets very unaccounted for until these guys get around him and they try to put shots up next to him, and they realize this kid is absolutely...
Just great production here on the road. Blocked by Ware!
Again, this kid is very, very good at what he does, and overall, he's going to be great for this Miami Heat team. I can't wait to see how it plays out. But again, constant improvement from this Miami Heat team against the best competition in the league is what we need to see, and that's what we're seeing as of late. So, till the next time, I will see you guys on the next episode of Heat Digest.